As above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. You've heard the phrase. It sounds poetic, ancient. But what if it's not just philosophy? What if it's physics? What if this single principle isn't an idea, but the architecture of reality? In Hermetic teaching, the law of correspondence is the key to all others. It states, there is harmony, agreement, and reflection between all planes of existence. The micro mirrors the macro. The outer reflects the inner. The visible echoes the invisible. This is not metaphor. This is the map. You are not a separate observer of the universe. You are a projection of its structure. You are a node in a vast system that recycles form and frequency from galaxy to cell. And everything around you is not just reacting. It is resonating with what you are within. You don't live in the world. You pattern it. Every thought you hold, every belief you carry, every wound you suppress, radiates into the grid and shapes the mirror. The law of correspondence is not about mysticism. It's about mechanics. And once you understand it, you stop blaming the reflection. You begin adjusting the source. If this part made you pause and ask, what pattern am I broadcasting right now? Comment, I realign the mirror. Because when you change within, the universe has no choice but to reflect it. The law of correspondence didn't begin in a book. It began in observation. The ancients saw the stars and saw their own bodies. They mapped constellations onto organs, cycles of the moon onto the womb, the seasons onto emotion. In Egypt, Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, spoke of the unity of all realms, that what happens in the heavens is mirrored in the earth, that what stirs in the soul ripples through the cosmos. In India, the Upanishads whispered the same. The universe is within you. Brahman and Atman, the macro spirit and the micro soul, are not separate. They are scaled reflections. In Taoism, the Tao flows through all things in mirrored polarity, yin and yang, above and below, form and void. Even modern mystics knew. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, a meaningful resonance between the inner world and outer events. Not random, patterned. Because everything, when viewed deeply enough, reveals a fractal, a correspondence. This principle survived not because it was believed, but because it kept proving itself in silence. If this part made you feel how ancient truth keeps resurfacing in new forms, comment, I see the echo through time. Because when a principle shows up everywhere, maybe it's not a theory, maybe it's a law. Zoom out, a spiral galaxy, arms curving around a dense core, light flowing through darkness. Zoom in, a hurricane, same spiral, same rotation, same still center. Zoom further, your fingerprint, swirling lines, tiny storms of identity. Even further, your DNA, a double helix, a spiral of life, pattern, on every level. This is correspondence in motion, not just a poetic idea, a geometrical truth. The universe builds itself by repeating itself at different scales. The spiral, the sphere, the branch, the wave. From neuron clusters to city road networks, from mycelium webs to computer chip design. The architecture of the large mirrors, the architecture of the small. This isn't coincidence, it's fractal logic. Nature doesn't invent endlessly, it refines. Because coherence requires pattern, and when pattern holds across levels, correspondence becomes inevitable. This is why when you shift your inner world, your outer life reorganizes, because it's built on the same geometry. You don't live in a universe, you echo one. If this part made you feel the hidden structure beneath all things, comment, I move with the pattern, because truth isn't just seen, it's repeated. Your reality isn't happening to you, it's reflecting you, not as punishment, not as reward, as resonance. You feel abandoned inside. You attract detachment. You expect betrayal. You read it into silence. You believe you're not enough. You see rejection in neutral faces. Why? Because the outer world is reading your inner blueprint. You are the sender. Your beliefs are the frequency. Your experiences are the echo. And most people spend their whole lives trying to change the reflection instead of changing the mirror. This is why affirmations fail, why plans collapse, why intentions don't stick. Because if the inner template remains fractured, the outer form cannot stabilize. The law of correspondence isn't emotional, it's structural. Your internal narrative writes the script for your environment. So until you shift the belief, you recreate the same scene. Different faces, same dynamic. Different city, same conflict. Because the vibration doesn't lie, it replicates. If this part made you recognize the feedback loop between your thoughts and your life, comment, I rewrite the pattern within. Because changing the world starts with changing the lens you look through. Your body doesn't speak in words, it speaks in symptoms. A tight chest when you avoid truth, a sore throat when you silence yourself, lower back pain when you feel unsupported, digestive issues when you can't stomach a situation. These aren't metaphors, they're correspondence. Because the body is the densest expression of the self. It holds what the mind avoids. It records what the voice won't say. It mirrors what the heart doesn't process. You don't just carry genetics, you carry energy. An unresolved emotion, if unexpressed, becomes embodied. This is why healing the mind can shift the body, why trauma release can resolve chronic illness, why inner peace can regulate blood pressure, because wellness is coherence. When your beliefs, emotions, and actions align, the system flows. When they conflict, it breaks pattern, it breaks rhythm, it breaks you. But the body isn't punishing, it's pointing to the place where inner truth and outer action are misaligned. And through awareness, you can recalibrate, not by treating the symptom, but by tracing the source. If this part helped you see your body not as a problem, but as a message, comment. I listen to the signal, because pain isn't the enemy, it's the pointer. People are mirrors, not always of who you are, but of what you carry. You attract someone avoidant when you fear intimacy. You attract chaos when your inner world is disorganized. You attract control when you don't trust yourself to lead. Every relationship is a reflection, a correspondence, a feedback loop. It shows you what you believe about love, what you tolerate, what you fear, what you've inherited. This isn't karma, it's coherence. The energy you hold shapes the people you magnetize, not because you deserve it, but because you're tuned to it. And until you change the tuning, the song stays the same. This is why changing partners without changing patterns leads to repetition. Different name, same feeling, because the field responds to frequency, not hope. But here's the gift. Once you shift the belief, once you clear the imprint, once you raise your inner standard, the mirror must change. It has no choice. Because the outer world only reflects what you broadcast. If this part helped you see your relationships as lessons, not punishments, comment. I realign what I attract, because others don't define your value. They reflect your vibration. Nothing happens by accident, not because life is rigid, but because it's responsive. Every event you call random carries symmetry. Every challenge, invitation. Every delay, alignment. The law of correspondence says, events don't just occur, they match. They mirror your readiness. They reflect your frequency. You meet a mentor right when you're ready to listen. You lose a job just when your spirit has outgrown it. You face heartbreak when it's time to meet yourself. We call it luck or punishment, but it's resonance. Because the universe isn't watching you, it's responding to you. Your thoughts build signal. Your emotions charge it. Your actions anchor it, and that signal pulls form out of the field. This is why timelines shift when you shift. Not instantly, not magically, but mathematically. Correspondence doesn't reward hope. It echoes vibration. And once you hold a new vibration, long enough, honestly enough, the field must respond. If this part made you rethink the timing of the events in your life, comment. I align with the unfolding. Because the future doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from you. Look around. Your room, your workspace, your home. This isn't just decoration. It's data. Cluttered space, cluttered mind, dark corners, unfelt emotions, no boundaries, no self-definition. Your environment is not separate from you. It is you, externalized. And every day, it feeds you back what you've already encoded into it. This is correspondence. That's why sacred spaces feel sacred. Not because they're special, because they're coherent. They reflect order, silence, intention. And that reflection stabilizes your nervous system. You breathe differently in a temple. You speak differently in nature. You even think differently in a clean room. Not because the space changed you, because the space reminded you of a deeper version of you. So the question is, what does your space currently say about your mind? What does your external world keep mirroring back to you? Because until you shift the space, physically or energetically, you'll keep circling the same inner loop. If this part made you realize your surroundings are messages, not accidents. Comment: I design my frequency, because where you live is how you think. Externalized. You are not the only mirror. Society is one too. A culture is a psyche made collective. A city is a nervous system turned physical. A nation is a belief system scaled wide. And what you see in the world, conflict, chaos, beauty, grace, isn't random. It's correspondence. A corrupt system mirrors inner disempowerment. A divided people mirrors split identity. A violent world mirrors unhealed trauma. You can protest symptoms forever, but until the source shifts, the cycle continues. Because the external structure is built from inner blueprints. Even global events carry resonance. A planetary illness may reflect collective imbalance. An economic collapse may mirror inner scarcity. A wave of awakening mirrors inner alignment finally surfacing into form. The world is not broken. It's honest. It shows us, again and again, what we are still unwilling to face inside. And that's not hopeless. It's clarifying. Because when enough individuals shift their own mirror, the collective reflection must evolve. If this part made you see the world's crisis as a collective correspondence, comment: I reflect what I want to multiply. Because global change starts in personal coherence. Now you know the mirror exists, but how do you use it? You don't control the reflection by yelling at the glass. You change what's in front of it. This is where the law of correspondence becomes power. Every moment of clarity shifts the field. Every moment of self-honesty rewrites the pattern, but it requires consistency, not ritual for show, ritual for resonance. You start with the smallest, your breath, your room, your response to tension, and from there, you build rhythm, not perfection, coherence. You stop reacting, you start reflecting. You become the stable image the mirror hasn't seen before, and slowly, life reflects back what you've been holding quietly inside. New people arrive. New opportunities align. Old patterns dissolve not because you worked hard, but because you stopped contradicting yourself. This isn't magic, it's frequency fidelity. When the inner and outer truly align, the grid shifts, because the field is listening, always, not to your words, to your vibration. If this part helped you see how the smallest shift inside creates space outside, comment: I choose what I reflect, because the mirror doesn't lie, but it can evolve. Not everyone who wants change sees it. Not because they're cursed, because they're incoherent. They speak abundance but think in scarcity. They act confident but feel unworthy. They repeat affirmations but carry fear beneath the words. And the mirror? It reflects the deeper signal, not the surface, the root. You can't hack the law of correspondence with optimism. You can only align. And alignment isn't about being perfect. It's about being congruent. If you want love, but you fear intimacy, you won't see connection. If you want success, but resent others who have it, you won't embody abundance. The mirror isn't judging, it's matching. This is why deep change requires deep honesty, not forced positivity, but radical presence. To sit with your contradiction until it dissolves, to witness your patterns without shame, to breathe into the places you've hidden from, because only then does the mirror have something true to reflect. If this part made you realize your frequency hides beneath your words, comment: I choose coherence over performance, because the mirror doesn't show what you want, it shows what you are. Now you see, the mirror was never lying, it was precise. You asked for clarity, and chaos showed you where you were unclear. You asked for love, and distance revealed where you withheld it. You asked for purpose, and boredom echoed where you were asleep. The universe didn't betray you. It answered you. Exactly. Honestly. Mathematically. Because it can only reflect what you hold. And this is liberation. Because if nothing is random, then everything can be revised. You no longer chase the outer. You adjust the inner. You no longer fight the reflection. You fine-tune the signal. And slowly, without effort, without force, the world begins to bend, to mirror the version of you that no longer needs to perform, prove, or pretend, because you've remembered the first law, as within, so without, not belief, not theory, architecture. And now that you know, you can choose. So ask yourself, what have I been unconsciously radiating? And what do I now choose to let the mirror reflect? If this journey helped you reclaim your role in shaping your world, comment. I take full authorship, because life isn't random, it's responsive.